But this was the first time we saw Paige really get guarded. This is where we saw what is going to happen in year 2. This is the scout report that needs to be out there on Paige Bueckers once the Dallas Wings get good, because the Dallas Wings are going to get good at some stage in her career. This was the game where I'm like, okay, we can shut up the comparison.
This concludes the charade. The false prophets have come to light. On national television, the WNBA's frantic attempt to produce the next superstar was just demolished. Paige Bueckers, the so-called next Caitlin Clark, the media darling, the chosen one who is supposed to carry the torch, recently received her reality check sent rapid shipping courtesy of the Seattle Storm. It wasn't only a wake-up call, folks. It was a complete demolition.
Of one Paige Bueckers, oh, she's better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, stab me in the eye with a spoon, for Christ's sakes. Wow. So that's a thing right now. Last night, Paige Bueckers dropped 44 points. And we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of that shit. Let me tell you. It exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment.
The idea that Paige Bueckers was the heir apparent to Caitlin Clark's throne has been pushed upon us for months. She broke Clark records more quickly than a teenager smashes iPhone screens, and the media portrayed her as the savior of women's basketball.
Up Divas Kat Engelbert is breathing a sigh of relief. Her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are trying to crown a new star. If the media has it their way, this could potentially be the new face of pretend basketball. And it's not just the woke media. There are even some in conservative media who are voluntarily biting into the shit sandwich. Headline at Outkick: "No Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season."
One game ahead of Clark, she became the fastest player to amass 200 points and 50 assists in just 11 games. Her composure, efficiency, and analytical approach to the game were all highlighted in the headlines. In their mid-season rankings, ESPN put her at number 13. Everyone was purchasing tickets to the Paige Bueckers experience, and the hype train was moving full speed ahead. Here's the thing about hype, though. Up until it encounters harsh, cold reality, it's all just hot air. Furthermore, reality has a name: Storm Defense of Seattle.
It's a little bit different, huh? It's a little bit different out here when you get Caitlin Clark treatment. It ain't so easy peasy getting to play one-on-one, getting to just do your thing how you want to do it, when you want to do it. Paige Bueckers got the Caitlin Clark treatment for one game, and it...
August 22nd, 2025. Put that night in history as the definitive demise of the Paige Bueckers myth. Bueckers entered Seattle anticipating to continue her coronation ritual after her epic 44-point explosion against the Los Angeles Sparks. Rather, she entered a buzzsaw that revealed all of the flaws in her ostensibly perfect game.
Again, you said it's going to be important to be physical with like Paige Bueckers. Can you talk about the defensive game plan for Dallas and like how your team was able to hold them to their fewest points of the season?
Yeah, it started, with our attention to detail with Paige. I thought, Slim was very physical, stayed in her space, and the actions that we guarded her in, we were very aggressive, showed multiple bodies, and kind of, made her hesitant to use the ball screen a little bit. I thought we rotated well, and everyone who ended up being on Paige from E on down, I thought.
11 points the subsequent Caitlin Clark accomplished it against real NBA caliber defense. Not 11 in the first quarter, not 11 in the first half, but 11 in the game on 2 of 11 field goals with 0 assists and 2 rebounds. The stat sheet resembled a youth league game participation prize. Before the game, Noel Quinn, the Storm's defensive coordinator, said it just as he intended. It was in a number of different ways after scoring 40 for the other night. In other words, it's time to find out if this princess can take the Caitlin Clark treatment. She was unable to, spoiler alert.
Paige Bueckers got Caitlin Clark treatment for the first time in her career. and it looked bad. It looked real bad. Everybody was running around. Yeah, she was cooking. 44 points versus the Sparks. They didn't play a lick of defense, letting this girl play one-on-one basketball in every area of the floor, letting her post up in the mid-range area one-on-one. Now, I'm giving credit. She's a bucket in one-on-one, especially from that mid-range, from the free throw line down area. But this is the first time we watch teams actively be persistent about taking away her spots and what she...
If you find this entertaining, please subscribe. This is where the narrative really gets interesting, people, because let's speak about what the true next-level superstar has been going through this season while Paige Bueckers was having her reality check in Seattle. The player who truly revolutionized women's basketball, Caitlin Clark, has been absorbing hits that would make linebackers in the NFL cringe. The figures are honest. Caitlin Clark accounted for 17% of all egregious fouls in the 2024 WNBA season. That is target practice, not basketball.
She got blitzed. She got doubled. And do you want to know what she did as soon as she got blitzed and doubled? She passed. Paige Bueckers, like, look, she played decent amount early in the game. The game was kind of over and she got subbed out. Paige Bueckers shot 7 times. Paige shot the ball.
80% of the egregious infractions against Clark were committed by the Chicago Sky alone. In the meantime, Paige Bueckers has been treated like a youngster while floating through games as if she were participating in a collegiate scrimmage. Bueckers crumbled more quickly than a lawn chair in a hurricane when she was eventually subjected to the kind of violent, physical defense that Clark faces every night. The Storm's goal was to physically abuse her, challenge every shot, and make her earn every possession. And what took place? She vanished entirely.
Paige Bueckers, let me ask you this. How did it feel to be blitzed and played 94 feet before you even get a chance to bring the ball up court like your name was Caitlin Clark, a.k.a. my precious Cece? You didn't like that, huh? You hear me? You out there was looking like you was about to cry. Yeah, so what do your fans have to say now? Excuse me, where are you Paige Bueckers fans at? That's y'all MVP and face of the league, right? She's boring. She's not good enough. She gets special treatment. But understand, she kept getting blitz after blitz after blitz.
The media likes to brag about Bueckers' shooting efficiency, which was 47.4% from the field as opposed to 41.7% during Clark's rookie campaign. They portrayed this as proof that Bueckers was more polished and prepared for a professional setting. However, they casually overlooked this. While being defended as if she had a target on her back, Clark was taking the hardest shots in the league. Easy looks and soft defense were the cornerstones of Bueckers' impressive shooting percentages. Those statistics collapsed like a house of cards in a tornado the instant Seattle made the decision to protect her like the superstar she was purported to be. Out of 11 attempts, 2 field goals were made. That is exposure, not efficiency. Clark, meantime, has been avoiding defenders who are actively attempting to harm her. She has received calls for egregious infractions that weren't even related to basketball plays. She has been using physical domination as a coping mechanism. Additionally, she continues to post figures that give the impression that Bueckers' stat sheet is still in its early stages.
Look up how the WNBA played against Caitlin Clark in terms of the defensive strategy, in terms of the other basketball teams around the WNBA, what they did against Caitlin Clark versus how they've handled Paige this year. Everybody wants to act like Paige is so much better than Caitlin. They're certainly not playing defense on Paige the way they played on Caitlin. They're certainly not attacking her with unnecessary fouls the way they attacked Caitlin with unnecessary fouls last year. So in the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called. Caitlin Clark received 17% of the entire season's flagrant fouls, 17%. I mean, we've seen all the injuries, we've seen all the fights, the MMA fights that the WNBA players have gotten into this year. There haven't been 35 flagrant.
Let's face it head on about what we saw on August 22nd. Paige Bueckers crumbled after getting a small taste of what Caitlin Clark deals with every night. The following Caitlin Clark appeared more like the player going to the bench after one game with real defensive pressure, and one in which the other side chose to make her fight for her shots. The media has been promoting this athlete as being better than Clark in every manner imaginable. The same player who purportedly had better fundamental soundness and intelligence. The same player who, after half a season, commentators were prepared to declare her the superior player since she shattered Clark's records so easily, but Bueckers demonstrated that she isn't suited for the limelight that Clark has had since day one when it truly came down to it. The physical chess match that occurs when teams have a strategy to stop you is not something she is prepared for. She's obviously not ready for the kind of punishment that Clark absorbs while still delivering historic performances.
-17 on the floor. She had 0 assists and 11 points. 0 assists. 0. 0 assists. I don't like. That's mental. That's mental for a player that they were trying to say was better than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, you know, the points are everything. Points aren't everything at the end of the day. Assists aren't everything. Like, all of these individual stats aren't everything. It was just the fact that she literally... How many blitzes did the Indiana... Or how many open shots did the Indiana Fever get off a Caitlin Clark blitz? And albeit, it's very different when you have a short roller in...
Let's examine some actual data that settle this entire controversy while we're discussing constructed narratives. Caitlin Clark was the league's most targeted player during her first season, averaging 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game. During her debut season, Paige Bueckers averaged 19.7 points, 5.3 assists, and 4.1 rebounds per game while receiving the WNBA's lightest defensive treatment. Clark accomplished this despite receiving egregious fouls twice as frequently as any other player. Clark did it as their instructors explicitly instructed their guys to use physical contact with her as their main defensive tactic. Clark accomplished this while handling plays that were deemed inappropriate by her own coach. Against teams that were treating her like she was made of glass, Bueckers accomplished it. And she abruptly disappeared from the game when one team chose to change the course of events and protect her like the superstar she was intended to be.